Before starting, put the auto-generated YouTube subtitles in French or your mother tongue to get everything. And slow down or speed up the pace as needed. If you don't have time to watch it, just listen this video as a podcast while doing something else. Now listen and learn English as exploring our world. Have you ever looked out of an airplane window and felt a sense of wonder? Thousands of feet in the air, the world seems so far away. It's a moment of peace, a moment of reflection. But what if that peace was shattered? What if in an instant that sense of wonder turned to terror? This is not a hypothetical situation. This is the true story of Asiana Airlines Flight Oz 8124, a routine flight that transformed into a heart-stopping nightmare. This is a story about panic in the skies, the limits of human resilience, and the thin line between order and chaos. Our story takes us to South Korea, a nation known for its technological prowess and efficiency. Air travel is a common thread in the tapestry of South Korean life, connecting its bustling cities and picturesque islands. For the passengers and crew of Flight Oz 8124, it was supposed to be just another day, another flight. Little did they know, they were about to become part of aviation history. But not for the reasons anyone would hope. May 26, 2023, dawned like any other day in the world of aviation. At Jeju International Airport, a hub of activity on South Korea's Jeju Island, Asiana Airlines Flight OZ 8124 was being prepared for departure. The Airbus A321, a workhorse of the skies, stood ready to transport its passengers to their destination, Daegu, a bustling metropolis on the mainland. Among the 194 souls on board, there was a palpable sense of anticipation. Schoolchildren, their faces alight with excitement, were heading to a sports event, their laughter echoing through the cabin. Families, eager to reunite with loved ones, settled into their seats. Business travelers, laptops open and minds focused on upcoming meetings, barely looked up as the pre-flight safety demonstration commenced. The flight crew, a seasoned group of professionals, went through the motions of their pre-flight checks with practiced ease. Captain Lee, a veteran pilot with thousands of hours of flight time under his belt, adjusted his headset and ran his eyes over the instrument panel. Everything was in order. With a gentle rumble, the aircraft taxied to the runway, the familiar sights and sounds of an airport in motion filling the air. The engines roared, the plane surged forward, and soon they were airborne, climbing steadily into the clear blue sky above Jeju Island. It was a picture of normalcy, a routine flight like any other. As Flight Oz 8124 soared above the clouds, the initial bustle of boarding settled into a familiar hum of air travel. The schoolchildren, their earlier excitement now tempered by the drone of the engines, flipped through magazines or gazed out the windows at the cotton-like formations below. The flight attendants, their movements a well-rehearsed ballet of efficiency, navigated the aisle with trays of beverages and snacks, their smiles a reassuring presence. In the cockpit, Captain Lee and his co-pilot, First Officer Kim, kept a watchful eye on the instruments, their voices calm and measured as they communicated with air traffic control. The flight was progressing smoothly, following the designated flight path with precision. Weather conditions were optimal, a gentle tailwind nudging them towards their destination. For many on board, the flight was a chance to disconnect from the world below, to lose themselves in a book, a movie on their phone, or simply the quiet contemplation of the passing scenery. The world outside the plane seemed a million miles away, the worries of everyday life left behind on the ground. In the confines of the cabin, there was a sense of shared experience, a temporary community formed among strangers bound for the same destination. Time seemed to stretch out, measured in the gentle hum of the engines. For some, the flight was an opportunity to catch up on sleep. Others chatted quietly, their words lost in the ambient noise. A young couple gazed out at the setting sun. The flight was uneventful, a testament to the crew's dedication and advanced technology. As Flight Oz 8124 began its descent towards Daegu, the familiar chime of the seatbelt sign echoed through the cabin, ensuring that all passengers were securely fastened in their seats. Outside the window, the sun had dipped below the horizon. The lights of Daegu twinkled in the distance. In the cockpit, Captain Lee and First Officer Kim went through their pre-landing checklist. Yet, unbeknownst to those on board, a storm was brewing. As the plane continued its descent, a subtle shift occurred in the atmosphere within the cabin. What had been a chorus of quiet chatter and the rustle of newspapers slowly gave way to an unsettling stillness. Passengers, perhaps sensing the change in altitude or the slight bumpiness of the air, began to steal glances at one another, their eyes betraying a flicker of unease. A baby, startled by the sudden silence, let out a piercing cry, the sound amplified in the confined space. A flight attendant, her smile now strained, hurried to comfort the child, her voice a soothing murmur over the intercom. But the spell had been broken. The veil of normalcy lifted, revealing the raw vulnerability that lay beneath the surface of their shared journey. Near the rear of the plane, a man in a rumpled suit fidgeted in his seat, his gaze darting nervously between the window and the overhead compartment. His breathing grew shallow and rapid, his chest heaving with each panicked inhale. He wiped his clammy palms on his trousers, his eyes wide with a fear that he couldn't quite place. Unbeknownst to the other passengers, this man, driven by a fear he could barely articulate, was about to commit an act of unimaginable recklessness, an act that would transform their routine flight into a terrifying fight for survival. The calm before the storm was over. The nightmare was about to begin. The Airbus A321, carrying its unsuspecting passengers, was now just a few hundred feet above the ground, the lights of Daegu shimmering tantalizingly close. A collective sigh of relief rippled through the cabin, but for the man in the rumpled suit, the growing proximity to safety only intensified his fear. He gripped the armrests, his knuckles white, his heart pounding. He unbuckled his seatbelt and lurched towards the exit door. "Sir, please, return to your seat, we are about to land." And then, with a deafening hiss, the unthinkable happened. The sudden decompression, the roar of the wind, the terrifying sight of the open door, transformed the calm interior into chaos. Oxygen masks dropped, dangling like grotesque party favors. Passengers screamed, their voices lost in the deafening cacophony. Loose objects flew around the cabin like projectiles. Schoolchildren clung to their parents, their cries barely audible. Flight attendants fought to maintain order, shouting, "Remain calm!" In the cockpit, the sudden decompression, the ear-splitting alarms, and the chaotic chatter alerted Captain Lee and First Officer Kim to the unfolding emergency. "Emergency descent!" barked Captain Lee, his voice calm amidst the chaos. Back in the cabin, the flight attendants continued their desperate struggle to maintain order. Beyond the howling wind and the dizzying drop below, he thought he could see freedom. The flight attendants, their training kicking in amidst the pandemonium, became beacons of calm in a sea of terror. They moved with a practiced efficiency, their voices cutting through the cacophony. One flight attendant, Yoon, found herself face to face with a man at the open door. "Sir!" she shouted. "I need you to move away from the door!" She lunged forward, grabbing hold of the man's arm with surprising strength. A flicker of recognition crossed the man's face. As Yoon struggled to pull the man away from the open door, a remarkable thing happened. The other passengers began to rally around her. A group of businessmen formed a human chain, creating a barrier against the wind. Together, they formed a united front against the chaos. Inch by inch, they pulled the man away from the open door. In the cockpit, Captain Lee and First Officer Kim fought to regain control of the aircraft, their voices calm amidst the alarms and the roar of the wind. The plane shuddered violently, its metal frame groaning under the strain. "We're losing altitude too quickly!" shouted First Officer Kim. "We need to find a place to land now!" Captain Lee nodded grimly. "I'm looking," he said, his voice steady. "Air traffic control. This is Asiana Airlines flight Aussie 8124. We have an emergency." Their mayday call crackled over the radio, and then a glimmer of hope appeared. The air traffic controller's voice crackled back. "We copy your mayday. We are clearing you for an emergency landing on runway 31. Emergency services are standing by. Captain Lee allowed himself a small sigh of relief. Runway 31, acknowledged. Asiana Airlines Flight OZ8124 is coming in. The wheels of the Asiana Airlines Airbus A321 kissed the tarmac of runway 31 at Daegu International Airport. A collective sigh of relief from the passengers and crew. Emergency vehicles raced alongside the aircraft, lights flashing. Fire trucks sprayed water as a precaution. Ambulances stood ready for any injured passengers. The man who opened the door was escorted off the plane by security. His moment of terror earned him the judgment of his peers and the law. Whispers followed the man's departure like a chorus of condemnation. Passengers exchanged accounts of the ordeal, their words sharp with anger and disbelief. Why would he do that? Didn't he realize he was putting all our lives in danger? He must have been crazy. Nobody in their right mind would do something like that. Speculation about the man's motives ran rampant through the cabin. In the absence of facts, rumors took root and spread like wildfire. The man was immediately taken into custody by airport security upon disembarking the aircraft. Handcuffed and flanked by 2 guards, he was led through the bustling terminal, his head bowed. He was ushered into a sterile interrogation room, its atmosphere heavy with accusation. The detectives stared at him intently, their silence a palpable pressure. "So," Detective Park began, "care to tell us what happened up there?" The man remained silent, his gaze fixed on his hands. The shocking incident aboard Asiana Airlines Flight OZ8124 left many wondering, how could a passenger open a plane door mid-flight? At cruising altitude, the air outside is thin and cold, far too hostile for human survival. Modern aircraft are equipped with pressurized cabins to create a safe environment. This pressure difference makes the doors essentially impossible to open mid-flight. Emergency exit doors are designed to open outward, adding to the challenge. As Flight OZ 8124 descended, the pressure difference reduced, changing the situation. Flight OZ 8124 was at 700 feet when the emergency exit door was opened. The pressure differential was less than at cruising altitude, making it possible to open the door. Opening an emergency exit door requires significant force. The man's actions, driven by extreme fear, showed a terrifying disconnect from reality. The incident highlights the delicate balance between technology and human behavior. As the initial shock subsided and the passengers of Flight OZ 8124 were finally able to disembark, a palpable wave of relief swept through the terminal. Hugs were exchanged, tears were shed, and shaky hands reached for cell phones to assure loved ones of their safety. Yet amidst the relief, a sea of questions churned. Why did the man open the door? Asiana Airlines issued a statement expressing their gratitude for the safe landing and their commitment to cooperating fully with the ongoing investigation. In the wake of the incident, Asiana Airlines faced intense scrutiny for its safety procedures and its handling of the situation. While the crew's quick thinking and bravery in securing the open door and ensuring a safe landing were widely praised, questions lingered about whether more could have been done to prevent the incident from occurring in the first place. Critics pointed to the airline's policy of assigning unaccompanied minors and passengers with limited Korean language skills to emergency exit rows, arguing that these individuals might not fully understand the importance of their role in an emergency situation. Others questioned whether the flight attendants had been adequately trained to handle a passenger exhibiting signs of extreme anxiety or a mental health crisis. Responding to the criticism, Asiana Airlines announced a series of safety reforms aimed at preventing similar incidents from happening again. The airline vowed to review its seating policies, ensuring that only passengers who met specific criteria, such as fluency in Korean and English and a demonstrated understanding of emergency procedures, would be assigned seats in emergency exit rows. Additionally, Asiana Airlines pledged to enhance its training programs for flight attendants, equipping them with the skills and knowledge to identify and de-escalate situations involving passengers exhibiting signs of distress or erratic behavior. The airline also announced plans to collaborate with mental health professionals to develop protocols for assisting passengers experiencing mental health emergencies during flights. The incident aboard Flight Aussie 8124 served as a stark reminder that aviation safety is not solely the responsibility of airlines and their crew members. It's a shared responsibility, one that requires vigilance, awareness, and a willingness to intervene when necessary from everyone involved, passengers included. Passengers, often caught up in the excitement of their travels or the anxieties of flying, need to be more attentive to their surroundings and to the behavior of their fellow travelers. Unusual behavior, such as signs of extreme anxiety, agitation, or disorientation, should be reported to the flight attendants immediately. Furthermore, passengers need to take the pre-flight safety briefing seriously, familiarizing themselves with the location of emergency exits, the proper use of oxygen masks, and the procedures for handling various in-flight emergencies. While it's easy to dismiss these briefings as routine or unnecessary, the incident aboard Flight Oz 8124 demonstrated that emergencies can happen, and when they do, every second counts. The aviation industry, too, has a role to play in fostering a culture of safety. Airlines should prioritize mental health awareness, providing resources and support for employees and passengers alike. They should also invest in research and development to explore new technologies and strategies for enhancing security and mitigating risks associated with human behavior. The story of Asiana Airlines Flight Oz 8124 is a stark reminder that even in our age of advanced technology, the unexpected can occur. It underscores the critical importance of crew training and clear communication. The incident showcased the resilience of the human spirit and the power of collective action. Flight attendants demonstrated remarkable bravery, preventing a potential catastrophe. Passengers played a crucial role, highlighting the power of community in crisis. The story of Flight Aussie 8124 is a testament to the enduring power of calm amidst chaos. Clear thinking and decisive action can make all the difference. The pilots navigated the crisis with remarkable skill and composure. Their professionalism ensured a safe emergency landing. We can prepare for the unexpected. The story highlights human courage and resilience. It reminds us to appreciate the precious gift of life